Today, we are looking close at the 1989 P. Washington quarter, a coin that looks familiar, feels ordinary, and carries a face value of only 25 cents, but can become dramatically more interesting when its condition, mint mark, strike quality, and possible errors are examined carefully. So before you spend a 1989 P quarter, take a few seconds to look at it closely, because the difference between an ordinary circulated coin and an exceptionally preserved collector coin can be enormous. The first thing you need to know is that the P mint mark means Philadelphia. The 1989 P. Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and the reported mintage was 512,868,000 pieces. That number tells us something important. This is not a coin that is automatically rare simply because it says 1989 P. It was produced in very large numbers. The coin is also a modern copper-nickel clad quarter, rather than a traditional silver quarter. Its standard composition is a copper-nickel outer layer over a copper center, with a weight of approximately 5.67 grams and a diameter of about 24.3 millimeters. And this is where the story becomes much more interesting. A common 1989 P quarter found in circulation is generally worth around its face value, with current price guides showing circulated examples in the neighborhood of 30 cents to 85 cents, depending on condition and the specific market. That means a dirty, scratched, heavily circulated 1989 P quarter should not automatically be treated as a fortune. But the collecting world does not value every coin simply according to number printed on it. Condition can completely change the conversation. Imagine finding one of these coins in an old jar, a drawer, a cash register, or a box of loose change. At first glance, you might see nothing special. Washington's portrait is on the front. The date reads 1989, and beneath the portrait is that small but important P. Turn the coin over and you see the familiar American eagle design. It looks like millions of other quarters. But collectors know that the real question is not simply, what year is this? The real question is, how unusual is this particular example? The biggest factor for a normal 1989 P quarter is condition. A coin that spent years moving through pockets, vending machines, cash drawers, and coin counter machines will usually have contact marks, scratches, dull surfaces, and wear. Those coins generally remain inexpensive. But a coin that escaped circulation and survived with brilliant surfaces, strong details, and very few marks can become much more desirable to collectors. PCGS specifically notes that high-grade 1989 P quarters can be difficult to locate because many examples have light scuffs and scratches that prevent them from reaching the highest mint state grades. Now comes the part that makes the 1989 P. Washington quarter particularly fascinating. According to PCGS, the finest examples can reach MS67, and a PCGS-certified MS67 example has an auction record of $1,955, achieved at a Heritage Auction sale in November 2007. That is a spectacular difference from 25 cents. But it is extremely important to understand what that number actually represents. It does not mean every 1989 P quarter is worth $1,955. It means an exceptional, professionally graded example reached that price in a specific auction. This is exactly why coin collecting can be so exciting. Two coins can have exactly the same date and mint mark, yet their market values can be dramatically different because one coin has been heavily circulated while the other has survived in extraordinary condition. Think of it like two identical cars from the same year. One has thousands of scratches and years of hard use, while the other has been stored carefully and looks almost new. The year is identical, but the condition tells a completely different story. Another important point is the word silver. If you have heard somebody claim that every old-looking 1989 quarter is a silver coin, be careful. The regular 1989 P. Washington quarter is a copper-nickel clad coin, not a standard 90% silver Washington quarter. The silver Washington quarter era ended before this date. So if your 1989 P quarter looks unusually gray, dark, stained, dirty, or different in color, that appearance alone does not prove that it is silver. Composition must be evaluated correctly, especially if you think the coin has an unusual mint error. And errors are where the story can become genuinely exciting. A normal coin might be worth only face value, while a coin with a dramatic, authentic minting error can attract specialist collectors. Off-center strikes, missing or improperly formed clad layers, double details, broad strikes, and other genuine mint-made abnormalities can sometimes create premiums. But there's a major warning here. Not every strange-looking coin is an error. Damage after the coin left the mint is extremely common. Scratches, cuts, discoloration, flattening, chemical exposure, machine damage, and intentional alterations can make a coin look unusual without making it valuable. So if your 1989 P quarter is dirty, don't immediately clean it. This is one of the biggest mistakes a new collector can make. Scrubbing, polishing, rubbing, using chemicals, or attempting to make an old coin shine can permanently damage its surfaces and reduce collector appeal. Sometimes a coin that looks ugly to an ordinary person is more interesting to a collector precisely because its original surface has survived. Now look carefully at the date 1989. Make sure the digits are genuine and haven't been altered. Then inspect the P mint mark beneath Washington's portrait. The mint mark should be examined together with the rest of the coin, not treated as proof of rarity by itself. Remember, Philadelphia struck more than 500 million 1989 quarters, so the P alone does not make the coin a $1 million discovery. Next, examine Washington's portrait. Look at the hair, cheek, jaw, lettering, and surrounding fields. On the reverse, inspect the eagle, lettering, stars, and rim. You are searching for something that appears to have happened during manufacturing rather than something caused by decades of circulation. A genuine mint error normally has characteristics consistent with the minting process. Random damage usually has a different appearance. The edge deserves attention too. The normal quarter has a reeded edge. Look around the entire circumference. Is anything missing? Is the edge unusually broad? Does the coin appear thinner or thicker than normal? Is there an unusual area where the clad material appears to be missing? These observations can be useful clues, but they should be confirmed rather than assumed. There's also another fascinating side to this coin's history: survival in high grades. PCGS estimates that although huge numbers were originally struck, truly high-grade survivors become much harder to find as the grade rises. PCGS describes MS-66 examples as very difficult to locate and MS-67 examples as extremely difficult, with MS-67 identified as the highest grade available in its reference population. This is why a collector should never judge a coin only by its age. The 1989 P quarter is not an ancient coin. It is a modern American quarter, but rarity in numismatics can come from many different sources. A coin can be rare because very few were made, because very few survived, because very few survived in exceptional condition, or because a genuine mint error created an unusual variety. Now let's talk about the phrase that gets collectors excited: $1 million quarter. Could a normal 1989 P Washington quarter automatically make you a millionaire? No. There is no reliable evidence that an ordinary 1989 P quarter is worth millions of dollars. Claims like that should be treated with extreme caution. A realistic collector approach is much better. Identify the coin correctly, determine its condition, look for genuine errors or varieties, and compare it with documented sales. The known record gives us a much more exciting but believable story. One exceptional PCGS MS-67 1989 P quarter reached $1,955 at auction. That is already thousands of times its face value, but required an extraordinary condition and professional certification. Other market information shows why grade matters. NGC's current guide lists a 1989 P at roughly 30 cents to 85 cents in circulated grades, while its listed value for the very finest pristine examples goes as high as $465. Price guide and auction records can differ because they represent different market measurements, grades, certification levels, and sales conditions. So imagine you discover a 1989 P quarter that looks almost untouched. The surfaces are bright, the details are sharp, the rims are strong, and there are almost no visible marks. You might have something far more interesting than the average quarter in your pocket. But don't jump directly from looks good to worth thousands. Professional grading is where the difference can be established. A third-party grading company can authenticate the coin, evaluate its condition, and encapsulate it if appropriate. And this is where patience can protect you from making a costly mistake. If you believe your coin is unusually valuable, don't immediately sell it to the first person who says, "I'll give you $5. First, understand what you actually have. Take clear photographs. Inspect both sides under good lighting. Check the edge. Weigh it accurately if you have a suitable digital scale, and compare its characteristics with trusted numismatic references. Most importantly, never let an exciting headline replace evidence. The phrase, "this coin will make you a billionaire overnight," sounds dramatic, but real coin collecting doesn't work that way. A genuine valuable coin is valuable because collectors are willing to pay for specific characteristics. The market decides the price. A seller's dream price is not automatically the coin's real market value. The real treasure story of the 1989 P. Washington quarter is therefore not that every example is a fortune. The real story is that an ordinary modern quarter can become surprisingly collectible when it survives an exceptional condition or contains a legitimate mint-made error. That is what makes coin hunting so addictive. You can look at a handful of change and suddenly notice a tiny detail that everyone else ignored. So if you have a 1989 P. Washington quarter sitting in your collection, don't throw it away just because it looks ordinary. At the same time, don't assume it is $1 million coin simply because someone online made a dramatic claim. Look at the date, confirm the P mint mark, study the surfaces, inspect the strike, examine the edge, and watch for genuine mint abnormalities. If the coin is circulated, its value may be modest. If it is exceptionally preserved, the story changes. And if it combines outstanding condition with genuine, significant mint error, that is when professional evaluation becomes especially worthwhile. Remember, the greatest discoveries in coin collecting often begin with one simple action. Someone decided to look twice. That dirty quarter in a drawer may be nothing more than 25 cents, or it may have characteristics that make collectors stop and take notice. The difference is not imagination. The difference is evidence, condition, rarity, and collector demand. So before you spend your next 1989 P. Washington quarter, turn it over, examine it closely, and ask yourself one question. What if this isn't just another quarter? Maybe it is ordinary. Maybe it is unusually well preserved. Maybe it has an authentic mint error. You won't know until you look.